What up, what up, what up? Welcome to another episode of the Bronze Room. Glad to have you back here. You're home now. Kick up your feet and let's get it. I'm your host, your man, not your boy, Big Bro Chris. I got my wonderful co-host with me, Miss Joy.
What's up, y'all? I'm in the building. It's your spirit, not your body. No,
Hey.
what's up, y'all?
We got another. Then Mr. LGZ.
Hey, we made it again. What up, Blacksmiths? It's the voice, not the text. Just trying to follow you.
Okay, we is what we is, and we not what we not. No, I'm just playing.
Right. How y'all doing today? Everything good? The week's been all right?
It's groovy.
Life is good.
Beautiful. Let's get it. On this day, what is this? January 23rd? January 23rd, back in history. Way back. In 1973, Richard Nixon announced an accord had been reached to end the Vietnam War. That was a war that, when people look back at it in hindsight, was a war that many people disagree with. And it's a good thing that we exited, but we were in that country for about 10 plus years. Really, it was more like 15 plus, because I think we were in there in the late 50s. And this parallels some other wars that we're in. But at first, we sent advisors over there to just advise on how things could go. And then, a few years later, we're sending boots on the ground. So, it's a nice lesson to reflect on so that we don't repeat the same things in the future. But, we hard-headed, so don't hold your breath on that. In other events that happened on the 23rd of January in 1978, Sweden became the first nation in the world to ban aerosol sprays, which were believed to be damaging the Earth's ozone layer. Now, there was some recent news that came out not too long ago, maybe a week or two ago, that scientists are saying that there's evidence to conclude that the ozone is repairing itself. Now, there's famously a big hole over what is the airspace of Australia, where the biggest ozone hole is in our atmosphere. But according to studies, it's repairing itself, and a large part of that might be due to the ban on aerosol sprays and other chemicals that we figured out were damaging it. So that's what they say, at least.
Well, everything heals though when you leave it be. Things don't heal if they're continuing to be toxined, poisoned. That's including the human body. So I can believe that, you know what I mean? But it just goes to show you how much strain is actually being put on the atmosphere on a everyday moment by moment basis for that to even be the case.
Right. And when you have massive industrialization that's constantly pumping out pollutants as a byproduct of producing this and that, there's going to be consequences. There's going to be major consequences. But in 1978, they was
ahead of this shit. The U.S. needs to go on ahead and pick up a hint.
Right. Message.
Like, really.
Right.
We should have been did that.
Right. And then one last event that happened on this day, January 23rd, in 2020, China locked down the city of Wuhan and its 9 million residents as a belated successful effort to control the city's COVID-19 epidemic. I don't know if that was successful. I'm reading off of the screen. I don't know how successful that was. it seemed like they still going through that right now.
People was mad too. I remember people was like, "Yeah, people sick with COVID because of the bats. They was eating the bats."
Yeah,
Everybody talking about them, but people that type of culture been eating bats though. I don't even believe that
exactly.
came from that. I know of Samoans and like Caribbean cultures like that who eat bat as a delicacy with rice. So
Hmm.
y'all gotta stop saying that because people could have got COVID from eating chicken or carrots.
Or not eating chicken.
Or not eating anything.
You know
Eh,
what?
but you know what? That
Right.
feeds into conspiracy, so I'm not gonna go there. But you know,
But I remember though when people was blaming China, when things were starting to get heavy and shoot, a few months later you cough and it's a wrap. You coughing out here. Cause look, March, I think in March is when we got shut down, March 2020 in the
yep,
US.
yep. So China
Yeah.
was kind of ahead. They had their pulse a little more on they had their finger on the pulse of COVID because it started there. So of course they
Yeah, they started this whole, new world transition, if you will, in
yeah.
January. China's always the leading front for certain things, so why not disease? Um,
Well, I mean,
why not creating the patent? Listen, I'm gonna throw out my little. I don't care if
yeah,
people
go
call
ahead.
me a conspiracy theorist because I'll own it. You know what I'm saying? Because all the shit that they done said has come true, and I just love talking about this type of stuff because people, they're like, no, but it's like, yeah, y'all got to think about it. China be leading everything. So yeah, they gonna lead this disease. You know what I'm saying? Now, how y'all so advanced and everything else, y'all taking over into y'all got them built factories in y'all place where we make iPhones so that we can't even make our own shit. Y'all done did all this other
Well,
shit. Y'all so advanced and everything else, but you ain't gotta. Mm. And
well,
so
that ties into really the bigger umbrella,
the
which is
bigger,
which is America's influence over the globe, including countries like China, because several reports. I don't even think it's a report. This is documented information. The lab that supposedly leaked the virus because it was lab made. You know
right?
that lab was commissioned by the U.S.
Yes, it was.
It was commissioned by the U.S.
Oh, so we commissioning things.
Yeah,
Wow, y'all hear this? This why y'all gotta stay up on your fruits and veggies. Fuck what they talking about. Stay up on your health so
yeah.
that you're always defending yourself no matter what. Because
Like,
thank goodness I ain't caught it once, even though I was around people that really did. I know people that passed from it. It's like, damn, y'all really set this shit up, huh? That was cute.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
It's
but yeah,
the
and that
defense.
changed our lives forever. Nobody's ever gonna forget 2020. Ever.
We'll see. We'll
No,
see.
we ain't.
I mean, I feel like we forgot about the Spanish flu, and that killed off a bunch of people, and which was what 100 years ago. So over time, people will forget about it. But
I mean, yeah, that's true.
as far as us, people who lived through it, no, we won't. But future
Yeah, you're
generations,
right.
they
It's
will.
right because after there will be other diseases created
Exactly.
and
We'll have
patented.
another
We'll have another one of
shutdown
these
for
when
something
they
else.
need a reformation. Yes, you two are
Yeah.
absolutely correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was that was on this day for that ass. That's when I got to work from home. Hey, no, it's
Yep.
fine.
Yeah. 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 The
sorry,
world
sorry,
will never be the
Blacksmiths.
same.
Yeah, it was a
the world,
moment.
the world will never be the same.
It won't.
So, but yeah, on this day, a big part of the reason why we do on this day is because history repeats itself. So if
It
you know what happened
really
20,
does.
30 years ago, you can be prepared for what they're going to bring at us in another 5 or 10, you know?
Right. And that's what I mean, really, I was telling people, I said when people was pressing me about getting the shot, people are like, it's going to do this and that for you and it's supposed to help blah blah blah. And I'm like, you're really relying on that. But can you even tell me what's inside of it? Number 1. Number 2, as
Right.
a black woman, I have the right to be apprehensive. Didn't they inject black men with syphilis?
Well, they didn't. They didn't, but yes, it goes towards the same
Come on,
principle.
did they not they didn't or
Well,
it's just not
as far
reported?
as far as what's reported, which is all I can go off of, is
You know what I'm talking about, the
yeah,
Tuskegee
100%.
experiment?
So I mean, that's a common thing that people think, but really they just didn't treat them with the antidote to syphilis.
Uh,
But I mean, it's the same thing whether
but
you
it's still
inject
good
me
enough
with
for
it
me,
or
you
you're
know what
not
I'm
treating
saying?
me for it. It's still malfeasance. It's still
Yeah, and it's like, but why am I gonna trust you? Y'all put the worst
exactly,
foods up in our shit. Why am I gonna trust you with this that's supposed to go? Why would you care? And then they was talking about we got to get it to the inner cities. We got to get it
right.
to this. But I'm like, why do y'all care? Why all of a sudden do you care about us so much? If you really care, just make our healthcare totally free. I mean, if you really
Exactly.
care, I mean, that'll be an easy gesture. That's 1, 2, 3.
Exactly. Exactly.
So
You hit it right on the head, Joy. Like, if they really care, there's some other measures that can be taken to
yeah,
really take care of the nation. But they
that's how
don't.
I've been all 2020. My eyes been squinted. Like, okay,
Yeah.
got you. I'm just going. Yeah,
What's that song? What's that Michael Jackson song? They don't really care about us.
he been said
All I
it.
gotta say is that
I
That's a classic.
promise
care
you.
about us.
I sang that too a few times in
Good
20.
song.
I
Hmm.
mean, that's how I felt. I'm like, they really don't. Since when?
Right.
Since when? Why y'all all of a sudden care if I get this shit?
It's about
You know?
dependency. They want us to depend on them. So
Yeah.
do what we tell you to do so that you can depend on us to live and do everything else as we say.
I mean, and people
Consolidate
were
or put.
scared, but then people also it also showed that people said, no, fuck that. I'm gonna start my own business. I'm gonna do this and that. Even for people who didn't completely step out of that, it changed it rewired our thinking. I know I stepped more into my entrepreneurial spirit. I'm like, man, fuck that. Y'all want me to take this shit just to work for some people I really don't want to fucking work for anyway? I don't want to work for you. So um
It's real. The
yeah.
most businesses were started, especially in our community, were started in as a result of the pandemic. It was like 58% of the new businesses that started were bronze owned businesses.
Yeah. Hey, everybody know we the real hustlers out here. So don't pin us against the corner or against the wall because we'll figure out a way to get up out that.
I mean, them PPP loans definitely help. You
One
know what
hundred
I'm
percent.
saying? A lot of people took advantage of that shit.
100%. You are right about that.
Even non-bronze people who
What and that's exactly what I was
super
getting
manipulated
at.
it and didn't get any backlash for it. But
Just like on the regular, they be manipulating the tax codes to work their way around laws. You know what I mean? So
mhm.
it's no difference.
Yeah, let's make a tax code class one day so we can get all them same tax codes and just know what they are. You know what I'm saying? Because we need to use them shits.
Yeah,
Yeah.
seriously. It's a lot of people that they live in their best life working around those. Why can't we?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Donald Trump. I mean, a big part of the reason this is off of Chappelle, one of his stand-ups, but he was saying that a big part of the reason why people fucked with Donald Trump was um because he told the truth. You might not have liked what he was saying, but at least he told the truth. He was saying in a debate with Hillary Clinton in 2016, he was like, she was coming at him like, everybody knows that that you don't pay your taxes. He was like, yeah, you're right, because I use the tax codes to my to my advantage. If you don't like it, change the tax
Mhm.
codes. And then he called her out. He's like, you won't, because
Mm.
you and all your friends do the same thing.
Mm. Yeah. And we're like it's us out here who's not completely educated on it and how to maneuver it.
Right, right. We're
And
not in those
yeah.
classes with Hillary Clinton and who we talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But we
Somebody
can
said
be. We just gotta
yeah.
educate ourselves and pass
Exactly.
that information along so that the whole
Yeah.
community benefits rather than just the individual.
Right.
Facts. That's what it's
Yeah,
all
these
about.
conversations open the door, like you said, talking about these things that repeat in history because it does open the conversation. Now, somebody can hear this and say, let me do some research on that. I never even knew that that was the case. What?
Yeah,
Hmm.
Yeah.
yeah. Speaking of which, Bronze Room, we're gonna be bringing some educational stuff to you soon. So be on the
Yes.
lookout for that. We're gonna
Yes.
start laying the building blocks
Yes.
to getting us up out of this situation.
Eating some food, some real food. Yeah.
Yep. 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 So on that note, we're gonna move things ahead, move things forward. Uh, as we did last week, we're gonna come in with the hot seat. Let's make it hot.
That's
Hot
right.
seat.
All right. So who's up first? Is it
All
me?
right.
Since it's the order, I'll go. Oh wait, I'm sorry. LJ, go.
Yeah.
I'll just read it. This first one says a comment in Prince Harry's book that his family made a fortune from the slave trade is reigniting conversations about the British royal family. So I guess Prince Harry is he? Can we still call him Prince Harry? I mean, should we?
Is he a prince? No, I'm just playing.
That's what I'm saying. Like, okay. Anyway, Harry came out
Harry.
with this book, and he said his family been, he's real popular right now. He has this new book called Spare. He also got the Netflix special with his wife Megan about their experience, and yeah,
Yeah.
discuss.
This he's stating something that like most people know, most bronze people know at least. But the fact that it's coming from him is the biggest thing. Like he's speaking the truth, and that the royal family, they are tearing their hair out right now over that, because
Mhm.
it's exposing something that has been exposed before, but it gives it more credit because it's coming from somebody within the circle.
Right. Yeah. I
Hmm.
would totally have to agree. And I honestly feel like maybe his having his relationship with his wife has been something that's triggered that, because I know that they was definitely treating her a certain way. Like we said, bronze people already knew this before the book was even released. So I'm sure that this is maybe it even opened his eyes even more, him being firsthand seeing how differently she was treated. He was like, man, fuck that. I'm letting all the magical charms out the box today.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
I think it's gonna be a domino effect for the rest of the stuff that they've been hiding, and just like with cancel culture, it's just a matter of time before they get theirs. Even if they control the media, it's not gonna stop. And I think
Yeah.
because he confirmed this whole thing, it's like let's find out what else they hiding, and other people will feel comfortable airing out some of the dirty laundry that they've been holding on to. I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to what else come out. It's all coming to the light.
Yeah, I mean, he does have to be careful, because at some point, it's going to be secrets held over the family, and they will, if they feel like you're getting too comfortable, they don't care who you are, So, but maybe he doesn't care, and maybe
Yeah,
he's
he
like,
probably doesn't care at this point. He's like, y'all done already kicked me out. What
he's
else
like,
I
I
got to
got
do?
my black seed, so no, I'm just playing.
Uh,
He got two kids.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, he said I'm good.
yep.
He said they're here. I'm here
Here,
again.
can't do shit
I'm
about it
here
now.
again. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, next up.
Hot seat.
Okay, this says
It's a
maybe I should
post.
play maybe I should
It's,
play the audio on this one.
no, 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 don't play the audio. It's not necessary.
Okay. So how about you explain this one?
Well, I mean, so it's a Twitter post. It says, "I promise y'all, healthy relationships with great sex exist. The only reason sex is amazing in toxic relationships is because every other aspect of your relationship is deprived of intimacy. A turkey sandwich tastes like a 5-star meal when you're starving."
Bar.
I think that's just a commentary on a
Mm,
lot of y'all relationships out here. Y'all settle
mm.
for toxicity for some reason. I don't know why, but um, and a lot of people attribute like, well, damn, the sex is great. This post details why it's great because everything else about the relationship is shit. So,
And I'm
you know,
sorry, it's not good enough for me to like compromise my being, like
right,
not like that. Not to that's it's I mean, even that's delusional in itself to say that
100%.
because,
It is.
yeah.
It
And
So
is.
I,
yeah.
and I think with relationships being toxic is like sometimes you could be in it and you feel like not you as in anybody that's listening to me talk, but the person could feel like it's better to be in it than to work at finding something that's better. Especially if you don't put in some
Mhm.
real time and you got experiences. Sometimes you got to feel like you got to be in a toxic relationship also, and then have a relationship that's not toxic to be able to appreciate not being in one.
That
But
is very
sometimes,
true.
but we could have fear, of changing our environment to being something better because we think it's going to result the same way the last thing did. That's a situation that a lot of us have gone through. You know,
Yeah. Or
and
sometimes you have to grow as an individual too. Some people
Exactly.
don't want to grow as an individual,
Exactly.
so they
That's
rather
the biggest
stay in
part.
that toxic
That,
relationship.
yeah, that's the
Sometimes, in
biggest
order for you to grow, you got to walk out of it.
mhm.
I've had to walk out of situations, and I'm like, dang, ain't nothing necessarily wrong like that. But this, I know this is not suitable for who I am as a woman. I got to just leave this, and
Mhm.
I've been in love with the person, but I walked away because I was like, nah. Mm-mm. So some people, and that's that starving, and people be starving while they're getting the sex. That's why you still deprived, and then when someone ain't giving it to you, then you really feel rejected, but you was already rejected.
right. You just
Facts.
didn't know it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
You was
that
blinded.
that shit is only gonna last so long. And even when you in it, you know that it's only gonna last so long. If that's the
Yeah.
only thing you hold on to, that's only gonna last so long before you want that from somebody else that can offer that plus maybe
Yeah.
one more thing. You
Right.
know, so
Yeah.
it's important, like you said. You gotta know who you are and just know that work on yourself so that you attract more
Yeah.
things
Yep.
that
Don't be
benefit you.
afraid to grow. Don't be afraid.
Yeah. It's right. Okay. Don't be afraid of them growing pains.
Right.
That part. All right, next up, this says the CDC investigation where the Pfizer COVID vaccine increases stroke risk for people over 65.
Mm.
COVID talk.
Hey, I mean,
The
you
vaccines
know,
ain't work like we thought.
or maybe they do, but they just come with some costs. So at the end of the day, it's about
So then they don't work like we thought.
about it's about
Or
weighing, it's about weighing your options at the end of the day.
Yeah.
yeah,
Which,
like you said, LJ, they don't work like we thought.
Yeah.
They work like they thought, like they,
Like,
they work like
like
they
they need to.
created them to work. That's what that's
yeah.
saying. So good job for y'all, CDC. Congratulations, I guess.
I'd be wondering, like, who is like the top of the CDC, and like, how does that work? Because they flip flopped on so many of their views through the whole COVID pandemic. CDC done said so much different stuff. Like, who's at the top that said, "Yo, we're gonna release this information"?
The top
Or we're not.
representative is a lady whose name escapes me right now, but I know what she looks like, and she's a liar. But
You
that's
can
me.
just tell by just the way she look, huh? She looks
No,
sickly as
no,
hell.
no, no. It's based by fact. Like she's
Oh,
backpedaled on several things that she's originally come out with.
oh
The
yeah.
biggest thing that was in the news maybe less than a year ago was that she came out advocating. She was saying that because they've been trying to push the shot for kids 6 months and older. And then when a news anchor pressed her on it, like, well, kids don't really, they don't really suffer from the disease like that. And she got mixed up in her words and was like, she's a liar. I'll, I'll,
Yeah,
I'll share the news clip with you guys
yeah.
on the stories at some point in the near future.
And we knew this though, too. Yeah. So of course it does. We know it increases. We know because there was nothing healthy put in there. There's a lot of animal proteins and who knows what else y'all played around with. Y'all probably put piss in there. And anyway,
Well, I mean, it's common knowledge that most vaccines have like toxic chemicals like mercury, aluminum, etc.
yeah.
So, and then that's
But
all
it's like what else
vaccines.
little sick shit that they put in there, And one drop of goblin spit. You know what I'm saying? Like I just feel like they might have did that.
The goblin spit, like,
A drop of frog's blood, little voodoo on the damn vaccine. But anyway, that's another story.
I hope not. For all my vaccine folks out here, I hope not.
I mean, I hope not either. I'm just saying, they were really pushing this shit and threatening, and they basically tried to force people. And now y'all got the nerve to be coming out with investigate. How you now investigating these effects? These are supposed to be pre-investigated.
Exactly.
I
Great,
mean,
great point. But I mean, hey, that comes with the territory when you push something out in 9 months. That's
right,
that's generally studied for 10 years. So,
right, yeah, right. Like,
but I mean, it ties back into the old adage: you can control a people when you have them afraid.
it is very true.
And everybody was
Yeah, and
very
you
afraid.
got the antidote, right? Like, damn, y'all came out with that real fast, but y'all still can't tell people how to grow their edges back and all kinds of other little shit. Like, y'all, you know what? Y'all can't even get on the simple shit.
That's what the people really want to know. Okay. Next up, we got this man going crazy
Oh,
after
God.
the break. Y'all gotta watch this. This is intense right here.
Get over here. What the fuck? What is he doing? Oh! Dad, get over here.
Dad, get over there. It's crazy.
So this man clearly was in a toxic relationship that we just talked about. You know what I mean? Clearly, this is nothing but toxicity right here. Um, this is it's if for all those who are listening and can't see what we're talking about, it's a video that went viral last week of a dude that was driving a dump truck, a full-on dump truck, and he is ramming it into somebody's front, into the front of somebody's house, into the front of his girlfriend's house.
And he went into a rage and he ended up hitting other people's cars,
Yeah,
neighbors' cars who he didn't like
he
either.
tore up the whole neighborhood because of a breakup. Now, to me, I can't respect nothing about that. I don't care what this woman did to you. You a grown ass man. You need to get over it, my friend. um,
Right.
and it goes into what we were just talking about. Like a lot of times, it's not the relationship that's the issue. It's the individual who has some growing up to do, and
Right.
they refuse to grow up because they're pointing the finger, like, "Oh, she did this, she did that," and which might be true, but your self resolve has to be bigger than that.
Exactly. And that's what it was. It's like, no, it doesn't matter, because if that's the case, then the world is going to be way more chaotic if we excuse that. If we say, okay, well, that's the reason why. That's what a lot of people are doing now. Oh, well, this person had this, that, and that. Well, we all have a personal responsibility and accountability to try and be and fix ourselves and be intact, and keep our mental together. Because if you're doing all of that on the outside, the inside is really fucked up. If you can do all of that,
What we're
then
all doing.
there's more demented thought that's been for you to even be able to take that far out there and cause that much damage.
And if you're in a relationship where you think I gotta drive my car into this person's house so that they understand how hurt I am, you need to talk to somebody way before you get there.
For real.
Or go run around the block, walk before you get in that car.
Some healthy outlet. Yeah.
Exactly. People need healthy outlets, and man,
That's
these days, most people's outlets, when they have some time to just chill, social media, watching more toxic shit like this.
Yeah, exactly. Because where
Um,
you get this behavior from? And I'm like, you a grown ass person. Now that was probably your work truck, because that wasn't yours.
sure.
So now you've put
Now
all
you
of this on
fired.
the line. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And all for some chick who probably looked like the WB frog. You know what I'm
Probably.
saying? I know. I mean, I'm looking at the neighborhood. She ain't that cute.
But hey, I guess what?
I was
I
thinking the
I
same thing.
guarantee you, sex is amazing.
I'm. s- It,
I guarantee
I
you.
want to take it a step further. He couldn't get sex with nobody else.
I
I,
don't
I don't want to
know.
say that. No,
I don't know,
I
because
don't
he a
want to
truck
say that.
driver. I don't know.
I
That's
want to say that
something.
he probably can.
Because he a
But
truck driver.
Nah, nah.
What that
No,
got to do
not
with it?
because of that. I'm just saying that they have their histories and they
Oh, do
don't
they?
have any problems. I mean, no, this was beyond that.
Yeah, I don't think he had. I
It
don't
was
think
like he didn't want her
he
giving
didn't
that
want
away
her.
to nobody else.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
he didn't
that's
want
some
her
jealousy
giving that
right
away
there.
to nobody else. Like, I don't know if she fixing hash browns and putting aside a pussy with it, or what,
Probably.
with ketchup on it, and he eat, or the pussy is the plate. I don't know, but something, because that was like pure like rage, and that's not okay.
Yeah, man's was extra pissed.
I better not ever catch y'all doing that over.
Yeah, slap me. You ever see me doing that?
I'm gonna
Slap
punch
me,
you.
kick
I'm
me,
gonna
I'm
jump
not
up on
gonna
the truck.
I'm
Yeah.
not
do
gonna waste a
something.
valuable car.
Wake me up. For real.
Yeah. That's
When I
Yeah.
built my studio, I built it in a neighborhood that is one of the poorest black neighborhoods in Atlanta so the young black kids can see that a black man did that and they can do it too.
Mm.
I was trying to help somebody cross. That studio was once a
I think it's gonna
Yeah.
cut off right before, but yeah, shout out to
Mm.
Tyler Perry. Um, he's definitely been a great symbol for betting on yourself, working hard, believing in yourself, and having faith. So when
Mhm.
I see him talk or when I hear people talk about him in a positive way, it just reminds me of that. So total inspiration.
Yeah, absolutely. And he was homeless at one point.
Yeah, he was.
And to be in that situation and to know what and to provide that, you know what I mean? He gets it. He understands. He's been on both ends of the spectrum of the stick.
And the biggest thing of them all, because we all have that power. We all have that power to latch on to faith and belief. Faith, which ties back into the vibe of the week last week, like latch on
Right.
to that and just keep
Yes.
pursuing it despite, being homeless, despite living in your car, despite writing these plays, which he was a playwright, and them not selling. Um, but you latch on to faith, and things will come your way with
Right.
time. Time is the X factor,
I
and
I always say that time is medicine. Time is, I mean, even though it's an illusion, but time is like where you see it all happen. That time and that faith.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
but like I was saying, everybody can do that.
Yeah.
That's like the ABCs. Like that's the basic stuff, right? In itself, it's hard, but once you get to that point, then the next step is to go back and help other people come up, which is what he's all about. He's not just about
Yeah.
his own success. He's about, hey, I'm doing this for us. He
Yeah.
built that whole studio for us. So
Yeah. I love that he's very aware of that, just even with his employment of Black actors, period. You know what I mean? And seeing us on the screen, that representation makes a difference. That's why, even though I'm not the biggest, he's not my favorite kind of movie to watch. I have watched a lot of the movies because I appreciate the fact that they were put together by somebody that looks like me. You know what I'm saying? That cast these people that look like me. I like to see that and to be helping us so that more of us do the same thing. Like you said, anybody can do it. So him opening this opportunity allows that to happen even more. Yeah.
Facts. And he's definitely like a class act. When he came out at first, he got so much scrutiny from people for all these reasons. I mean, you take your
Yeah.
pick. Him wearing a dress, him being the same, having the same kind of film. There was all these things I remember hearing about him. And when he ended up becoming who we see him as now, he came back and he showed love to a lot of people that showed him criticism. He got
Yeah.
this huge lot with all these studios on it. And he named them after legendary, bronze filmmakers that
Mm.
had built bricks in the foundation for where he was able to do that. And some of those people was talking shit about him. So he's definitely a class act.
Mm. Yeah.
He understands, like they say, he understands the assignment, and I think his ability to be above the BS that can come at you in life is something that we really should just take into account and appreciate, because
Mhm.
it's just a great model to be able to look at and mirror,
Mhm.
because bullshit
I
is coming
agree.
with success. All types of success, no matter what it is, people gonna love you and people gonna try to make you seem like you're not really who you are. But you gotta be able to
Mhm.
rise above that stuff.
Yeah, that's well
Uh,
said, LJ. That
Shout
is
out
well
to him.
said.
It's Tyler
I
Perry.
agree. Yeah.
awesome. George Crumb invented the potato chip. Thanks to him, our mindless television watching became a bit more delicious. This is a black man we're talking about.
I love him.
There's a black man right here.
Shout out
All
to
right.
Crumb.
And am I surprised? Am I surprised that he
Oh,
created them? No.
not at all.
Yeah, he said, "Oh, I need something to go with this.
Uh,
I need a crunch."
yeah. So we've invented things from the greatest things to the smallest things like
Your
potato
favorite
chips. And
snacks.
we're interwoven all throughout um innovation and
Mhm.
genius.
And
Most
his potato chips was bomb. He probably had all the freshest. Hmm. I know his potato chips was bomb. I could just tell.
I mean, it was bomb because they got duplicated for years.
I know. But them first potato chips he made, ooh, I wonder what kind of oil and everything he fried them in.
I would
Oh,
actually say maybe the first ones was trash compared to what we got now. But
nah,
the
I don't
crumbs
think
was
they
probably
were. Nah, I don't think they was trash.
compared to what we got now.
Yeah, no, I don't think they was trash. I think their potato chips was bomb as
I don't
fuck.
know. There was the first thing around. It's like the first of anything when there's nothing around. Of course, it was slapping. But you think it's
No,
better than the rap snacks?
yeah, I do. He probably sprinkled them with a little bit of sugar cane, a little bit of a little no, because look, no, because they had the real deal type of like,
Yeah, it wasn't overly processed.
it
All
was a
that.
real potato
Yeah,
in whatever oil or
that's
lard
facts.
he used.
That's
I'm
facts.
sure them
Well,
potato chips was bomb.
I'm,
Ooh,
I mean,
and
you know what?
I'm
That's a good
sweating
way to
because
look at it for
I
sure. I
love
mean,
fries
he
and
had them
potato
organic
chips.
spices, all them organic spices and herbs from back then. Okay, I see where you're going with it.
That's what I'm
Like,
saying. He grounded them up. He already had it. He was like, I'm gonna spring because if he made potato chips, he seasoned them.
damn, do you know what year this was that he did this?
I don't. I don't. But you
That's
know
where they
what?
got that idea from, sour cream and onion. Nah, they didn't just decide that they was gonna make flavors. We was seasoning our potato chips and they copied.
That's
Yeah,
amazing. His last name was Crumb. I just got to throw
yeah,
that
it
out
is.
there.
He
Huh?
was born for it. And I be
They,
eating my potato chip
there was
crumbs.
probably not even a word crumb before him. You know what I mean?
Right.
They took his
He
name.
made it. They took his name. And I be eating my crumbs. I take my bag and I straighten her out, make a
So,
little.
so I did a little research, and it looks like this was in 1841 that he made potato chips.
Oh, he was so ahead of his time. Bless you, Mr. George Crumb.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
Legend.
of you, every woman has an easier menstrual. During that time, she has a snack that she can
Okay,
call on, her chocolate and her chips.
that's your go-to.
CC, yep, my
Okay,
chocolate and my chips.
hey,
Shout out to the Crumbs.
hell yeah.
All
His
right,
wife
this
was going through
is
it. No, I'm just playing.
Michael Ray Stepanek, who told police he drove through a crowd of Black Lives Matter protesters in August because they needed an altitude adjustment.
Attitude.
Will, attitude, sorry, adjustment
Oh,
will avoid prison and have the incident erased from his record if he stays out of trouble for 3 years. Let's just do a close up on this guy.
Yeah. What's that little
Amazing.
caption say?
that looked like the man who got raped by his auntie alien.
They do look like close relatives, actually.
They
They
got the
do.
same
I
head,
got the beard.
same gray skin color.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's
So
amazing, man.
we on a daily basis see how justice is carried out in the country, which is why we have protests and have these uprisings and riots from time to time because justice is not equal. Lady Justice is supposed to be blind, for one. She's supposed to have a little scale that's well balanced, right? But in in America, she not blindfolded. She got her eyes wide open, and that scale is tipped by money and race most times.
Yeah. I mean, all the time. I mean, he looks mentally retarded, and that's what drives that type of energy. They don't say it, but the white supremacy is mental retardation, like I've always said, because of those lack of those nutrients. That's why they let him get away with it. You know? They all and it's like, really? So you get to drive through, but like I said, these people, they get haunted. They
Oh,
do. And the thing is, but that's not good enough. You know what I'm saying? That's not good enough, because if it was the opposite situation, we already know we wouldn't even be alive. We ain't even be alive when we minding our business. He should have been apprehended, choked, kneed down. His breath should have been taken.
yeah.
Just like, I
Well,
mean, really,
you know, I
you
think
know.
I
So,
can't believe he got that
but this is
result of his shit.
sorry,
So
y'all. This should be making me mad.
you know,
The community needs to stone him.
yeah. Honestly, for real, a community-wide stoning, I'm for it. One
Yeah,
thousand.
they need to go up to his door, because y'all not going to arrest everybody.
Well, yeah.
Hint,
Well,
just
yeah.
to throw a hint out there, they
I'm,
can't arrest
well,
everybody.
well, I was more talking about like if we could redo anything in terms of how justice is carried out, it wouldn't be jail time necessarily. It would be stonings.
Nah, and it just needs to just happen. That's the thing. It's enough talk, enough political talk. Let's just do the right thing. That's the problem now. People want to talk, talk, talk. Let's just take action. That's how you felt about the crowd. That's what you wanted to do. All we got to do is walk up on the mountainside, get rocks. All it take is about 20 to 40 of us. Done. Justice is served.
And we could just go about
A
our
hit
day.
for everybody that you hit. And
So that's
period.
done.
I mean, really,
No, I mean,
because
no, no,
it would
honestly,
really
that's done.
make a difference. Can't ain't nobody gonna learn unless it happened to them. Unless they know that there's a consequence, they know that they just gonna get this. And he's sitting there in court. Okay, 3 years. Okay.
how
After
do you
he
let that
didn't
man
just,
go like that?
he was saying all kinds of shit in that car when he was doing that. Fucking
Yeah,
niggers!
I'll show you, niggers.
I'll show you. You're gonna be just like the pavement. Like, just come on.
That's
Yeah.
real tough.
And don't nobody want to paint that picture, because people, oh, you're assuming, just like we're assumed every single day, even when we're turning our backs and we get killed.
It's weak.
He needs to be stoned. So the residents of Iowa, if you got a problem with it, look, handle it. Handle it.
There you have it. Okay, this it looks like a tweet. It says, "Hate to be that person, but they rather spend 10 million on a statue than spend that money on the community, the schools, the neighborhood without supermarkets, the families struggling, the people who need it. Everything is always symbolic and never beneficial to the people." And it says that's exactly what Malcolm X said. The white man will try to satisfy us with symbolic victories rather than economic equity and real justice.
This is
I agree.
100. This is 1000% facts. Um, now say what you now. This is talk. This tweet was talking about the monument or statue that was erected for Martin Luther King Day last week. I think it was it in DC or
I think it was in Boston,
It's
actually.
was
in
in Boston.
Boston.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. It was in Boston. So the statue was met with a lot of criticism. People really didn't and still don't fuck with with the statue. You
I mean,
know,
come on, y'all didn't
6
even put the man
million.
face in it. Y'all got shoulders and hands. Y'all
Yeah,
spent 10 million on that.
yeah. That to me, that's the biggest crime is the biggest criticism. Where the biggest criticism should be directed is the amount of money allocated. And this is an argument that I got into got into with the blacksmith, somebody in the community in the
Really?
audience. Not on
Really?
not on this specific issue, but in terms of where our taxes and our money is being allocated. You know what I mean? Like this is democracy. We should all have a vote and stuff. So why don't they take our vote on like things like where our money is going? That's the biggest issue. Like if you're gonna take 30% of my money, at least let me get a say in where it's allocated. I don't want a statue erected when it's people starving on the street. What sense does
Right.
that make? And
That
so this is what
yeah.
that's what Malcolm X was talking about. It's all symbolic gestures when there's people out here who really could use that money. What are we doing?
Right.
Yeah, could use it, deserve it. How about you start paying us back? Why you over here trying to take that and just give it? We'll be happy with that. Who's gonna really look at that? People over here in California can't see it. We only know
Who
about it.
voted for that?
I think it was the community of Boston. I
What
don't
were the other options?
right, right. Honestly,
Now, and I want to know who the community is and what percentage of what makes up what, because
Well, if they live on Martin Luther King Boulevard, you know what community it is.
that's true. But I mean, they had the artist who created this on some news segment, and you know he was defending his creation.
of
Uh,
course,
you know,
you know why he was defending his creation? Because he was the only person that got paid for it.
yeah, true,
That part.
right.
Of course, you're going to defend it. It's a fucking shoulder and a hand. Get out of here.
Yeah,
Bye. Sorry, not impressed.
try again.
Yeah, try again. That didn't impress the community. It
Now,
impressed you. It
I don't want to
impressed your
poo poo.
parents. Good for you.
I don't want to poo poo on art. You know, because art is very subjective. It is very.
No, it's not
It's
about
very
poo-pooing on the art. It's not that great it's not great enough where it would have been more beneficial to the community than not. No, it's art. That's all it is. It's nothing more. 10 million didn't need to be used for it. Sorry. You could have just drawn that on a piece of paper and made it a meme, and it would have been more beneficial that way.
It's a good point.
I don't care about the artist's feelings because it didn't do anything for the community. Y'all don't care about our feelings. I don't care about y'all's.
I don't really understand what is the purpose of this whole uh video,
Well,
this whole statue in the first place.
the
I'm looking at it right
inspiration
here. You see
behind it
this?
is a picture that showed Martin Luther King and Coretta Scott King embracing each other after after the Civil Rights Act got signed. I'm not sure, but it's an iconic photo. So that was the inspiration behind the statue. But yeah,
It would have been more iconic just to give the community.
Maybe just have it of them actually having that embrace. Nothing against the artistic expression, but I mean, we don't. How do we
But
know that
who
that's
needs more
even going?
artistic expression as
I
far as
mean,
that
I mean
goes?
the artist may have his own vision or whatever, but
right.
put that in a museum or something. I don't know. It's just don't put it out
That's
there.
what I'm saying. Like, who needed it?
And we're at a time
Yeah,
now where we can literally vote, like take a poll online. Like, how does everybody feel about this before we put this bread up for this? They can make a 3D model and just like
Yeah,
give us some
y'all was,
options. You know what I mean?
yeah, we could have did a projector for that.
yeah.
Let me stop.
So, I mean, if
A
anything,
projector. Yo, they
if
just need to
anything,
have all holograms statues from here
I
on
mean,
out.
seriously, y'all could have just had a hot like y'all spent. We need, but see, y'all know that if we have that, it really will help. It's not rocket science. If you ask a toddler, do you want a picture of the blocks or do you want the blocks? They're gonna be like, I want the blocks to play with. I don't want a picture of them. Shit.
It's a
We'll
great
give you a
point.
picture to make you feel good.
It's a great point.
Like, great. I don't know who Arm and Shoulder that is. Ain't nobody 100 years from now they're gonna read it.
20 years
Anyway,
from now.
I already forgot who we talking about. No, I'm just playing. But it's just a joke.
Crazy. All right, let me go to the next one over here. So crazy. Damn, what the hell?
It's like it's cute, but
Yeah.
I'm like, did y'all pay the artist 10 million? Like, how much did y'all pay the artist? I want to ask them that.
That's where the 10 mil went, huh?
Right. 5 mil.
Let's see what you got next. All right, this right here. I gave says I gave birth to my baby girl in the car on my way to the hospital. Oh snap!
Yeah, I just thought that was crazy.
Is
You
there a
know,
video?
like,
This
yeah, it shows them like on their way to the hospital, being escorted by policemen because there's hella traffic on the road and stuff like that. I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was cool. I thought it was fascinating. I thought it was very interesting.
Yeah,
The commentary that I have personally on this is like, I don't know if this is a bronze woman. I feel like it might be.
I think it was.
Either way, I think it shows a sharp contrast between us giving birth to ourselves and then versus going to hospitals where there's like
Mm-hmm.
a 10% chance that that baby's not gonna make it, hurt the baby or the mother. Like the birth rates in hospitals or the success rates of specifically of bronze people is terrible. It's really, really bad. It's really bad.
Yeah, yeah. I think her baby can't. I think a lot of women actually give birth in the car, and I think it ends up happening because they're already in a position where they're squatting.
Exactly.
mm,
Yes, boy. Yes.
So
You
if
see
she
how
was
that
already sitting down, the baby, she's already bust wide open.
in position to right.
Yeah, that laying back, that's defying gravity. So, I mean, I think, and I read that the baby wasn't good. The baby was healthy. She was
Yeah,
good. She did end up going, and she ended up having to stay a day in the hospital. I think they stayed overnight in the hospital, of course, because the hospital still got to get their bread, even
of
though,
course.
you know, you know.
it's bullshit.
Um, but yeah, this does open it up. I mean, I think it's amazing to see these kind of things. I saw a woman giving birth to a young woman too. It was on Instagram. She gave birth to her baby in the bath. She had her own birth by herself. Nobody was there with her. I was like, wow, this is amazing. Another woman had a baby standing up. She was standing up, leaning on a thing, pulled her baby. She was like, pulled her baby out with one hand while she was.
I
See,
seen a
that's how
video like that too.
Yeah,
I'm gonna pull my baby right on out, like, hi, baby. I'm not trying to
yeah,
do all that,
yeah.
be in the hospital.
This is a commentary on Western medicine for the most part. I mean, yeah, there's
Mhm.
great things that come with it, but there's things that are ass backwards. They the birth rates are terrible in our country for a reason. You know what I mean? So I hope that this example kind of just it shakes people's paradigms so that you can think
Yeah.
outside the box. No, you don't have to give birth on a bed laying flat on your back to some white doctor who probably is going to kill your baby anyway.
Yeah, your chances are better not there. They might have who knows what they would have put in the IV had she got there.
The
And then,
epidermal,
maybe sometimes the babies don't want to come out because of what's being injected. This is going straight through the
yeah,
mother.
no, yeah, that's proven.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
so yeah, so I mean, I do love things like this. I think my mom had my brother in the car, or she almost did, but she
wow.
was definitely in labor. And I was like, that's amazing. Like, when the baby ready to come, it's ready to come. Okay.
Yeah,
And
facts,
ain't nothing gonna stop that.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
facts. Okay, this is
Oh, we were just talking about this.
oh snap, symbolic victories versus economic
that
victories.
we're making progress in this country and worldwide? No. I will never say that progress is being made. If you stick a knife in my back 9 inches and pull it out 6 inches, there's no progress. You pull it all the way out, that's not progress. The progress
Mm.
Yeah.
Deep.
you feel, however,
So that's just Malcolm talking true. You know what I mean? Like all these symbolic gestures that America is trying to do to right the wrongs of its past are just that symbolic. You sticking a knife in my back and then pulling it out halfway and then telling me like, look what I've done to right the wrongs. That's not righting the wrong. It's not righting the wrong.
At this point, they don't even care. They really don't even try to show that they right the wrongs. They just say, okay, we'll let you back in. We'll let you back in the club after we did you wrong. You know, y'all naming streets Obama.
Right.
Great.
What is that doing for my community economically?
That's great. Rosa Park Ave or whatever, cool.
Our community is suffering mainly from high death rates, from poverty,
Yeah.
and over incarceration, and all
Yeah.
those things trickle down into economic devastation.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't talk to me about nothing if it ain't talking about money.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
Right.
But they
Sorry,
know as
Gary.
soon as we get that bread, we like literally, that's the thing. Even though we spend a lot of capital, probably the most, if we had the right amount of opportunity and capital like everyone else, oh God, this
Yeah,
like
of
nobody
course.
else would exist.
Of course.
And that's why we take it. But blacksmiths, we'll be talking about that for my little revolutionaries. We'll be tapping in. Joy's a little inner revolutionary. We can't ask. We got to take.
Yeah, and we
And,
can't rely on
yeah,
these same systems to give us back after they've already taken from us.
because look, they still trying to take even when they give back. Like example, and I was so mad about it. I was mad, but I was happy because I got the day off. But they made Juneteenth a holiday.
Symbolic.
But then why
Symbolic.
y'all selling our shit in y'all stores? Okay, y'all got black artists, but y'all are only paying them a percentage. Target, you still taking the money. How about y'all let us sell our own shit and you don't buy it, and you don't sell it. You can buy it, but you can't sell it in your shit. But it's like a double-edged sword because these black artists are like, hey, no, we want to get known and we're gonna put our stuff in Target. So y'all selling all this Juneteenth stuff, but y'all are really just capitalizing because really it's black people buying it. How many other people are buying? So nobody else is even buying our type of, they're not wearing Black Girl Magic on their stuff.
Right.
But it's a gang of black girls that got a Marilyn Monroe shirt, like I've said before,
Yeah. I mean, when it comes down to it, we can't keep relying on it. And these symbolic victories are like more so a slap in the face the older we get and the more that we understand what's going on. We can't really just be okay with it.
I
I
think
don't
it's
know
the
what the
older
answer is.
generation that's okay with it, though. I really feel like it's them because they're the ones that wanted to be together. Us who are younger, we feel like, no, we don't even give us the bread. I feel like this is why reparations have been talked about so much. I've never heard them being talked about so much. Granted, social media is a new thing that's out where we're hearing about it more, but I think that we're the ones who've actually said, no, we deserve this. No, why y'all keep doing this and not doing this?
Well, yeah, and I'll tell you a big reason why the reparation is back in the talks. You didn't hear about it before 2020.
Right.
It might have been in the works, but as far as me hearing about it, you didn't hear about it until 2020. What happened in
Right.
2020? We started tearing shit up.
Mm-hmm. Entrepreneurship, building our own businesses. Yeah. Yeah. Taking over a lot of these platforms. Like seriously, that they ain't gonna say that's the real reason why they want to ban TikTok, but we done taken over there and you can't really regulate. So yeah, we gotta, I mean, I think it's the older that take the symbolic victories
Yeah,
because
which is
that's
super unfortunate because it's like, damn, they supposed to be the ones that like they lived through the civil rights movement, so they should have the most juice, really.
because some people still feel like, no, we have to make it work. We have to, we don't want to perpetuate, we don't want to be in that stigma. But no, it's not in that. What group of people would want to be associated with another group of people that have harmed them, killed them, raped them, pillaged them, capitalized? That's just common sense. We should be afraid. We should want to do our own thing. We shouldn't. Why do I trust that? You got
But I
your
mean,
hand behind your back. You got the roses, but you got the knife or the gun behind your back. So
yeah,
yeah.
and that goes into That comes with beating a people into submission. Just like slavery, you whip that dude into submission until he no longer rebels. And I feel like for the older generation, I respect my elders and all they did and everything, but to a certain degree, they have to be held accountable. We
Yeah.
don't have the fight in us like we should. And our
Yeah.
the older generation sets the precedence.
Yeah.
So I don't know when it happened or how we had so much fire in the 60s, but then in the 70s and 80s, we just were beat into submission.
I
And
feel like it was
I
all the
don't know how.
killings of the civil rights leaders.
Boom.
It
Perfect.
was drugs,
Oh,
killing
that
the
too.
killing our leaders, and sending
Incarceration.
The drugs that followed
sending us
right
to
after.
Vietnam, sending us
Yeah.
out of the country to fight. A lot of us
It was like so
didn't come
many
home.
events happened. Yeah.
A lot of soldiers came back from that war hooked on heroin.
Right.
Um,
Is that what
that's
Dead
what
Presidents?
that's,
Is that
that's
what
what
that
Dead
movie?
Presidents is about, and that's what that Denzel movie, American Gangster, is about.
That's right.
Okay, I have never watched it and now I will
Good
because
movie,
of that.
great
But
movie.
Dead Presidents is one of my favorite
Yeah, that's a
movies.
fire movie.
Yeah.
It's classic.
Yeah.
Love that movie.
That's another one we gonna
I love that movie.
Yeah, yeah. That's one of my faves.
I love
Bronze
that
Room
movie.
movie night coming soon, y'all.
For real.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
Um,
I mean, the last piece on this, or at least for me, is like,
yeah.
as much as we could point the finger at the older generation for not like really coming with fire and inspiring us to do so. It's an old African adage and just wisdom in general, universal wisdom, that your elderly are supposed to make decisions. Your young are supposed to go to war.
I agree.
So you know,
Mm,
I
you know,
like that universal wisdom.
powerful.
you know,
That's real.
you don't send the elderly to war. That doesn't make
You
sense.
don't.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Right.
All right.
Next one up says 14-year-old girl charged with murder in the shooting of 11-year-old boy in
Wow.
Dallas.
you know, it's just sad, man. It's just
Wow.
I'm just so sick of the foolishness, man. Like, these are our youth, and they're getting gunned down just as much as the older people are.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what the solution is to stop this madness. It's so sad, man. And these are kids in our community.
I think when a kid does something like this, you got to go straight to the parents.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
got to find out what's going on in that house. And these parents should be just as accountable as these kids for these crimes.
Yep.
And that raises the seriousness of it as a parent. You know what I mean? There's not to divert too much, but there is an idea that if more people in our communities had life insurance, then we would be less likely to get murdered by these police, because the insurance policies that would have to be covered for all these murders would be significant.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So we have to be more.
About
That's
that.
the first thing I think about is like there's got to be more accountability attached to a lot of this stuff that has to do with murder and young people murdering each other specifically, because they get the guns from somewhere. And if I know, I mean, I know this now, but if I know that there's a even bigger risk to giving my kid or any young person access to a gun, then I'm not going to give them that. I'm not even going to let them know that there is a gun to get from me, because the stakes are higher. So there's got to be some type of accountability. This type of shit doesn't make sense at this point.
Yeah. Like they're not really educating, I say that from experience because I grew up with guns, a lot of guns. I've seen many guns in many different forms, from large to big, shot them at the gun range when I was a kid. And one of the reasons my mom was like, I want you to know the power of this. She was like, you see how the shells pop back at you? She was like, it's not like a movie. She was like, you see how it pushes you back? Shot a shotgun to see how it feels. And I feel like people are not educating their children. My mom hid her guns very well. She had multiple, and I don't know how she hid them. I don't know if she had a secret fucking wall or what. I didn't go looking for them, no, either, because of how she educated me on them. She always told me, don't ever point a gun at something that you don't intend to shoot or kill. Make sure that you don't ever. So I do think that it is the parents, absolutely. And then I also do feel like it's a lot of outside influences too. These social medias, these phones, because parents are saying things too, but I feel like you can tell your child and educate them on not touching a gun. This is where I think that they're where the parents take accountability, but it also depends on how you're living your life in front of your child. What
Facts.
makes a child go and get a gun and do that? You know what I'm saying? So it's one thing you can grow up. I don't think it's just having the component of growing up in the house with the firearms and knowing what they do. It's also what is the child experiencing and seeing in and out the home that makes them feel okay to pick up the gun. Because as much as I grew up with them and it was normal for me to see them, I never thought it was okay to pick one up. As angry as I got, that's the reason why, as an adult, I never even invested in one, even as protection for myself, because I never felt like I don't never want to be in a. I don't feel mentally strong enough to own one.
Yeah, and that
I'll
takes
just
the
be
person
honest.
to acknowledge that. It
I'll
takes
just be
actual
honest. So
person,
I don't want to own one.
you know.
Not right now. Now, if I know somebody that owns one and you want to keep it somewhere with you, cool.
Yeah,
So,
it's not a game. Guns are not a game. People, we hear story after story every single week about
yeah.
somebody being killed.
And
Wow.
that's not easy to pull a trigger. It's not like you really got to take the safety off of the gun. It's a real conscious act to shoot a gun. It's not something that you just, and I was upset. No, it takes power in your finger to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
And it goes to show that, like I've said before, mental health or lack thereof and guns do not make a good recipe.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about kids, not to say that kids are mentally unhealthy, but when you're going through all these hormonal changes and stuff like that, I talk to teachers all the time, and they say the worst grades to teach are middle school because that's when the kids are going through the most hormonal changes. So yeah, you don't put that amount of power in the hands of someone who's really just going through such a transition. You know what I mean? And so this 14-year-old girl, I'm sure, was just going through all types of stuff. You know what I mean?
She
Like
definitely had to
she's
be
she's,
on.
she's learning how to deal with these emotions, and in the meantime, oh, I got a gun in my hand. It's a terrible recipe.
Yeah, I'm like, how are kids even feeling? This was something that you didn't hear about too often. And now it's something that's just
Thank
becoming a
you.
regular, like the 6-year-old boy that shot his
Exactly.
teacher and the
Exactly.
other one that shot their mom. And I'm like, you're a kid. Now I got to make sure I don't even fucking look at a kid the wrong way. That kid
Right.
might
No,
fucking pull
honestly,
their backpack
for
out
real,
and fucking
for
shoot
real,
me. I
for
mean,
real.
I had a kid question me before in a grocery store when I bought some wine. The kid was literally like, wine? I was like, what?
That's funny.
I was
That
in
is funny.
disbelief. I said,
That,
"This nigga
that,
just questioned me by he
that,
he was like,
that,
"Wine?"
that's funny.
What was he meaning when he said it like
It was
that?
like he was saying it judgmental, like he was looking at me. I
That's
saw another
crazy.
little kid tell this woman, he was like, "When I tell you," he was getting babysat and the chick told him to do something. He was like, "No, when I tell you that I don't no, what do you say? When I tell you I can't do it, it's not that I can't do it. It's that I don't want to do it." Like the kid, and I'm like, So it's like,
That's the kids are smart, and they're gonna pick up
Yeah, yeah,
the mannerisms and the vocal
yeah.
patterns of the people that surround them.
And
You
they
know,
thinking that they know, they're not understanding. And I understand that's why they don't make these laws where they impose an adult punishment on them. But I feel like once your mind has been exposed to something and you can do something like that, I mean, I don't know. You need some kind of punishment because you got to know. Like maybe that punishment will. I believe for some people, a good enough punishment will make you lose that mental disorder that you have.
Yeah.
That's just me. I'm sorry. I feel like sometimes mental disorder to me is a word that's replaced with not taking accountability. And I understand this child is 14, but that's still I would have you would have to know more behind it. It is a
Yeah.
lot going on. It's just like it shouldn't be happening, and the parents should definitely take accountability. Like lock them up, throw away the key. Because parents will start being careful too, like really trying to educate their kid, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like if they really had, oh, okay, no, your kid's not going to jail, but they going to CPS, aka child sex trafficking, and we gonna go ahead and lock your ass up for life. Like, no, you going to jail for life. Just like drunk drivers got to pay child support for any parent
Anybody
that
that
they
kill.
kill.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not in every state now, but
Yeah.
it got passed in one of them states. So
Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's real talk. It's real talk. So, let's see. We can go.
Last one.
That's pretty much the last one. I know that we
Okay.
don't want to be too somber, but the next topic is a little bit in the same realm.
I mean, yeah, we might as well just go on ahead and touch on that since
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
hey, it's a perfect
yeah.
segue to our segments of the day. Our first
Mhm.
segment up, or our first story that we're going to really delve into is the Monterey Park shooting that took place yesterday, Saturday night, more
Yeah.
specifically.
Mhm.
Saturday and Sunday were the beginning of the Lunar New Year, which is a Chinese celebration celebrated every year. This specific shooting took place in a ballroom.
Mhm.
A ballroom dance studio
Mhm.
where there were a lot of elderly participants. The assailant, who is a 72-year-old man, came in, shot up the place, killed 10 people, injured 10 others, fled, went to another ballroom dance studio in Alhambra. This is all in Southern California. Um, Tried to shoot up the studio there, but the gun was wrestled out of his hands by a few others, and he took off and escaped. He was tracked down the following morning, Sunday morning, and police surrounded his van, which was parked in a city near Torrance, if not the city of Torrance. And they said that he had killed himself in that van. Uh,
Mm.
we are still awaiting what the motive was behind these shootings. Um, it seems like whatever the motive is connected to ballroom dance studios, because he went to two different ballroom,
Ah,
which are very unique locations to just in
right.
general. So there's definitely a motive that connects him going to those specific locations. I don't know if he's an ex dancer that maybe got rejected or something like that, but either way,
Yeah.
both places that he shot up were it was all elderly people. I think there was nobody under the age of 60. I could be wrong on that, but I don't think there was anybody under the age of 60 that got.
Yeah, I don't think they said any. I was reading that.
Everybody was in their 60s and 70s, which is super sad. It's
I
like
mean, wasn't his ass
he was
72?
72.
Is from what I
He was 72.
can you but like what?
So, I'm sure information is going to be coming out later. Obviously, he's disgruntled for some reason. I don't know if somebody did something to him in those specific studios. I don't know if there was some type of romantic relationship gone wrong. We don't know. But in the coming days and weeks, we will find out more information, and we'll update the audience with that. But well, what are you guys' thoughts on this?
I am like so shocked that things like this is happening in that age group. First off, and I think also it's interesting to me that this was Asian on Asian violence that I kind of felt like was kind of suppressed in a way. You know what I'm saying? So um, it's just it's just crazy. It's just crazy, you know. But Joy, I know that you had your own views on it, thinking like maybe it wasn't even a thing. Why don't you talk a little bit about that? Because that's an interesting point of view.
What my conspiracy theorist thoughts on it?
Yeah.
I mean, just in general, I just really feel like these type of things are not things that are influenced by people of color. This is not something that we do. You know what I mean? And even though the person who was supposedly the shooter and supposedly committed suicide was this Asian man, I just don't know what would really be the a mass shooting and on your own race of people, or not even your own race of people, but that like people who you can identify with more than others. I'll say that because from what I read too, now I don't know if this is accurate, but from what I read, this person was Vietnamese.
Hmm.
And I don't know if that would play a different role, but I'm sure all sorts of different Asian cultures come to this event, you know. I've even went not to that ballroom, but I've celebrated the new year. But I definitely feel like there was an outside influence. That's just me using my thinking cap. I mean, what really would be the motive for something like this on this day?
Right.
Really? You know, people were bringing up an ex-wife and all that, and I'm like, nah, y'all building a story. And like I said, when I did the research that I did, um, hold on one moment. Sorry, y'all.
But also on top of that same thing, when I was thinking about how that shit was able to happen, I think it just shows that people is violent all over. You know, no matter
Yeah,
what. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Just and
yeah.
we typically are the ones that kill each other, which is also something that they don't really talk about that much. You know?
Well, even that in itself is, I don't think maybe worded as accurately as it should be.
Hmm.
We are portrayed to kill each other at a disproportionately higher rate. That's not the case. If you look at the murder statistics across the U.S. across every year, there is no such thing as black on black crime. Although I don't necessarily have a problem with that word, that title. There's white on white crime, there's Asian on Asian crime, there's Latino on Latino crime. That most times than not, when there is a murder that takes place in your community, it is somebody within the community. Because guess what? The people that you're interacting with most times and having arguments with most times than not is going to be somebody in your community.
Right.
So yeah, like I like black on black crime because it puts a spotlight on us to hold accountability on each other to stop that shit, you know, because we should be loving each other, etc. But in terms of
Hmm.
the world using it, that's a misnomer. It's a distraction. All communities kill each other at about the same rate.
Yeah.
Now there is a slightly higher rate in the black community. I think it might be like 89%
Hmm.
versus in the white community where it's like 85 or 84 or something like that. But
And
Hmm.
of course, there's other outside influences that affect that, but you don't never hear about us aside from that Walmart dude doing like mass shootings on each other. I feel like that's where it kind of all surprised us. I don't think no one expected a mass shooter to be an Asian man, just like we
yeah,
wouldn't really expect
True, but if you
a
think
shooter
about a
to be.
drive-by shooting, that's a mass shooting.
right.
It
But
is,
I think what she's saying is like you
but not with
typically
the
don't
intent to
hear
like.
about Asian people, Asian men committing mass murder or mass shootings.
Yeah, you don't just like a drive-by. I don't think you just expect us to go inside. We're not going to go inside go inside a black-owned market and say, you know what? I'm going to shoot up a whole bunch of people that look like me. I just want to kill. Now, in
Yeah,
drive-bys, there ends up being mass murders, but they normally intend on shooting like one or two targets.
Yeah, I
They
see.
have a
There's
target that
definitely
they
a
pick up.
difference. There's definitely
But
a difference in what
yeah,
you're
and it's not
saying.
saying it's okay. I just feel like the dynamics, what influences this type of thing is American television, the things that people see
Mm.
on TV. We all want to blame these individuals, but let's really talk about it. How come America has so much violence? How come
Mhm.
America influences and really perpetuates violence in almost in every movie? There is going to be definitely some type of killing, some type of gun that you're going to see. People know about guns more than they know about intimacy. You know what I'm saying? In other
Mm.
countries, you see it's more focused on nudity and loving and those type of things to really draw people's attention and like that. But with us, it's all violence. All these action movies, almost every movie, the horror movies have crazy violence in them, twisting people's necks, backs, and people are so desensitized of seeing people get shot up. Really, we look at it in all the time, and now you get to see it in your live feeds. You know,
Yeah,
and the
Right.
only thing to
Right.
censor it is something that says sensitive content.
yeah. We were just talking about this before we went live. The biggest mass shooting that at least I was aware of for the first time in my life, and I feel like most of the nation, was Columbine. Columbine happened in 1999, in
Mm.
April of that year. Famously, those two assailants, they walked in with like trench coats on and like it was very cinematic, if you will. Now,
Mm.
earlier that year, what came out? The Matrix.
Mhm.
Earlier that year, I think it was a month before, The Matrix came out, and they were donning trench coats and toting mass weapons or mass killing weapons.
Mhm.
So, I mean, art does. I'm sorry, life very much so imitates life.
Art.
Life imitates art. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, if how dare we shake our finger
Yeah.
at all these incidents and not shake our finger at Hollywood for putting out all this stuff.
Yeah, like you're the total influence. You know, y'all want to tell people what they're doing in their household and this and that. But what's really making people feel like it's okay to do this? Where are people really learning this? Because not everybody just knows how to shoot a gun, knows that certain things. You watch movies and they'll tell you how to make crack. You know what I'm saying? They'll tell you, oh, and then when you do this, bury the body here. I never do this. Just like when I was looking at Power and they burn in the clothes inside the thing and take, I was like, damn, really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Y'all really
I think that's a good point you're making though, because you said, where do we learn this? We don't just learn this. No, we don't learn this because we don't have access to firearms like other people do, So we don't have the same focus on fighting for, certain amendments, you know what I mean? Because we don't have the access that some other people have, that they have and that they grow up with. We don't teach our kids how to shoot, maybe because we don't have access to guns, but there are a lot of families that teach their kids how to shoot. Like
right,
it ain't nothing. They early on hunting little ducks or shooting dunks. Duck hunt. I mean, just to talk about a video game.
right,
That was a game that was created because that was a lifestyle that people actually connected with. If you just think about that duck hunt game. So we didn't have access to it, so we don't do that. And I think because we don't have the access and we don't do that already, when we see these images, we think it's just a movie. We know it's just a movie. You know
right.
what I mean? So
But
it's
even so, it still affects the subconscious. You know what I mean? That's
Mhm.
why I don't watch scary movies. Because even though I'm aware of them, I know that deep down inside, something is being embedded. That's why they still continue to show them for everyone.
Mhm.
But mostly influential for the young minds. But a
Right.
72-year-old man, what makes a 72-year-old, like
Well, I think
it's
we're all influenced by what we see on TV, no matter what our age is. Um, it's just the youth are more impressionable, but it's not to
Mhm.
say that a 70-year-old is not impressionable in himself, especially if he's been watching movies since the 80s, when he was a young man. It just
Mhm.
took 50 years for it to manifest into action, you know?
Right. Right.
So, you know, um, these stories that keep coming up, they're not going to stop.
Mhm.
Many people are taking that as a reason to ban guns as a whole. That gets into a whole debate. of which I won't weigh in on right now. But you know, I do know that we will continue to have these incidents unless something changes. Um, what
Yeah.
that change is, who knows? You know, whether that's taking these movies out of theaters in terms of whether that's mandating that Hollywood changes its depiction of violence. I mean, they just greenlit John Wick 4, and we all, if you've seen John Wick, that's a very violent movie that features
Good
martial
point.
arts, but lots of gunplay.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm at a point. I'm not at a point. I've been at the point. I'm past the point of like seeing the problem and seeing the root of the problem, and nobody addresses the root of the problem. Instead, everybody just talks about the problem. You know, everybody's talking about like gun violence, gun violence, gun violence. Why don't we start talking about the root of the gun violence? Why don't we start talking about how Hollywood is depicting this every single scene?
Hmm.
And when we go to the theaters, why don't we talk about the fact that in this case, actually, no, this is relating back to the 14-year-old who shot an 11-year-old boy and killed him. Why don't we talk about the fact that parents are not taking responsibility over their kids? Why don't we talk about why that is? Why don't we talk about how high rent is and the standard of living is in this country, which forces parents out the house more because they got to go make sure that that roof stays over their heads instead of being with their kids? Why don't we start talking about um, the fatherless homes? I don't know if you guys saw Patrick Bet David. He's the host of
Hmm.
Valuetainment. It's a YouTube channel. He had a
Fire.
really, really, really good video. Did you see it where he was talking about the statistics that go along with fatherlessness?
No, I didn't see that. Was it an
He
individual
released
episode or was it
like
somebody else's show?
no, it was like a 10-minute episode. It wasn't even a full episode, but it was just like a little quick video that he released, and he was reading off the statistics that come along with fatherless homes. He was
Mm.
like, "Yeah, if you have a fatherless home, your child has an 80% chance, higher chance of going to prison themselves than if they had a father in the home." And he
Wow.
listed off 10 minutes of stats that showed or that was used as evidence as to why if we want to fix the country and a lot of the issues that the country has, that's a really, really good place to start is
Hmm.
having more fathers in the home. And
Hmm.
the issue that I have within our community is, yeah, we have a bunch of fatherless homes. I think I forget what the rate is. I wish I had these statistics in front of me.
Hmm.
But we need to start prioritizing that more in our community. I don't necessarily care about other communities, although those issues in other communities will bleed into ours. So yeah, maybe I should say that this is a national problem, but it's in particular with our community. We have got to do more to keep families together. And I don't know what that solution is, but we got to start there.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? You know, a big part of the reason why we started having these issues was the high incarceration rate, which kicked in the 70s. You know, like it's hard to keep
Exactly.
a family together when you got outside communities locking us up for minor offenses that other individuals don't get locked up for, which is why the whole injustice thing that we talked about in the hot seat is such a big issue. It's not
Hmm.
just a big issue for the individual who's getting locked up and getting more jail time than somebody with fairer skin, but it's a problem for the community because that's breaking up a household if that person is a father.
Hmm. True thought.
So you know, I'll post that video from Patrick Bet David because it's powerful and it speaks volumes. It really
Yeah.
does.
And he's got great concepts, and his approach to explaining things is real A1. It's real
Yeah,
A1.
I like
Man.
him a lot. I
Yeah.
like him a lot. You know,
And yeah, like you said, I mean, you could just see how that stat is definitely real. and has affected us, over time. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Uh,
One of the other statistics that he noted was that, like, if you don't have a father in the home, you're and you have a daughter, your daughter's like 5 times more likely to have a child um before she's 18. You know what I mean? A teenage birth.
mm,
So, like,
mm.
there's a lot that comes along with not having a father in the home. And a lot of people take that criticism as like, "Oh, you don't think women can do a good job raising children?" I mean, honestly, Joy, I wish I mean, I wish you were here to debate this, but I mean, no, I don't think that women can do just as good of a job at raising children as men can in terms of the discipline that comes along.
Yeah,
Like when a man says something, children respect that more than they
right.
do when a woman does.
You
And
need that duality. You have to
you
have
need
that
that.
balance. And
Right.
where women come in with being nurturing and having that natural instinct to understand where their child's hurt and feeding more into the spiritual aspect, men are there to ground the physical aspect of their children and to be there more so guiding them directionally, as far as when it comes to having a heart and courage and navigating the world. I feel like men really input that into their children, both daughters and sons. You need that. When you only have that balance, even if a woman tries to make up for that, she doesn't have the fundamental understanding of
The
that
natural.
natural biological understanding of what a child needs. That's why children are raised so differently. That's why you see when certain little boys handle things, even if they have not turned out to be a man who is gay, maybe they handle things a little bit more in a feminine way, but it
Right.
doesn't mean that but that's where a man might, raise you to be differently. So it makes a difference being in a fatherless house. And I know because I would have made better dating decisions. I mean, a lot of us would have. A lot of women don't admit that. Like, yeah, I made poor decisions, came from not having, you know,
Yeah. I mean, and I know something that's very it's subjective, but I want to say that there's got to be real statistics behind it. Most women that I've talked to that were raised with a father in their home, they aspire to get a man who was like their father.
yes.
You know what I mean? So your father
Yeah.
really sets a very real and very a very big influence in like your direction in life and who you choose to partner with. He kind of just sets the standards of what you shoot for in a man. You know what I mean?
And for family, for your future family existence. Ain't nobody gonna get somebody where they see that person doesn't have order. If they were raised in a house where the man had order, you know what I'm saying, had this certain respect for their mother, even whether they stayed together or not. A good father is a good father. You know what I'm saying? So I've seen good fathers who've still kept the family structure, even though they weren't together with their mother. They were still had that codependent relationship.
There's still a
So
presence.
yeah, your
Presence is
presence and
everything.
your care and the way you handle your children. So it absolutely makes a difference. Yeah, I would have to agree.
For
Yeah.
sure, for sure. And it takes
And
two to make a baby, so definitely it's gonna
oh,
take
just
two.
one moment, y'all.
Yeah.
It's gonna take two to
Message.
it's gonna take two to raise that child. So yeah, man, shout out to the
Yeah.
fathers.
Yeah. Shout out to the fathers, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So up next, there is something else that is going on. I'll shed a little light on the new tax bill, the fair tax bill that's out or is being proposed is apparently set to end the IRS and only tax us for a different set of things like uh, how much money we actually spend versus how much money we make. So it's been a topic of discussion. Put it up here. What do you think about this? That's happening.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and this is something I'm very open to. Now, as far as the nitty gritty details of the bill, I do need to educate myself more. But as far as I know, from a very general perspective, the bill is proposing to totally eliminate taxes as a whole, or income taxes, I should say,
Income tax, yeah.
income taxes as a whole, payroll taxes as a whole, and replacing it with, I think, consumption tax. Is that correct? Is that something that you know about? Like, at least that was a proposal that they would replace it with consumption tax. So the more you spend, um,
Mhm.
the more detrimental it is in terms of being taxed. But if you're
Right.
a saver or if you're an investor, it incentivizes you to do those things, which I think unanimously are good things. I don't think there's anybody out there that would argue that spending more is better than saving more or investing more. So I think this just incentivizes good financial practices,
Mhm.
and it allows people who are getting hit hard by taxes every year to catch up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Why should I be taxed on money that I'm working hard to earn? It's just I think it's just a backwards type of system. I understand that taxes are necessary, but there's
Mhm.
got to be a better way. There's got to be a better form of taxation than taxing 30. It's like when you show up to work, the first 2 hours that you are working aren't for you; they're for the government.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
That's deep.
It's true.
That's
So I
deep.
take so I'll be loafing on those 2 hours. Like, this ain't even for me.
Yeah, these first 2 hours, you're only gonna get 50% Chris
Right.
on the gig.
Right.
I mean, when I first heard about it, I felt like there might be something to the idea of adjusting the way that we deal with our spending habits. Our spending habits are not the same as they were when they created these rules. So it's important that we adjust, accordingly. And I'm not saying this is the best end all be all for everything, but when you really think about where we've been and how the tax system that we live in now, how they affect us, maybe we could start to look at how this new way could potentially benefit us. Now, I don't know how it would specifically right now, but if we understand that the rules are going to change, one thing that we can always lean on is the fact that there's going to be more freedom to uh, be, there's just going to be more freedom to try things and find out based on trying different things.
Yeah.
Versus you can try things nowadays and then they could be deemed wrong. But when the new system comes into play, we have to figure out what wrong is. And in those moments, you can really make the most out of that situation. So I was actually kind of more open minded about what it could do for us. But, like with anything, any kind of new rule to me comes with, it's a
Pros and
little,
cons.
yeah, man, there's just a little stanky bullshit attached to it, and
Yeah,
it's
one
good to be conscious of it.
100%. And so these things should be vetted out fully before we do vote it into law. But
Hmm.
I think it's a step in the right direction because I mean, if you look at the nation, we're not doing well economically speaking, from a governmental standpoint and from a individual standpoint. I
Hmm.
mean, I think what's the statistic that's going out and being reiterated and echoed? One third of people in this country, I think it might be 50%, it might be two thirds, um, can't afford a $600 emergency. Like if an emergency popped up and you needed $600, most of the nation doesn't have it.
Wow, I
That's
didn't know that.
scary.
Yeah.
It's scary, especially when you consider all these climate things, like where people's homes are getting flooded out, um, natural disasters, emergency. If there's one thing that life is always going to throw at you, is it's going to throw curveballs. And if you're not
Hmm.
financially prepared for that, it could be devastating for you and your family.
Yeah.
So, like, whatever we're doing and whatever we've been doing, it's not the right way. You know what I mean? From a financial perspective. So, we need change. And if this is the change that's going to get everybody to be on a better in a better position, then we need that. Because I mean, look at the streets; it's filled with homeless people.
Right.
Obviously, like obviously, there's a big financial issue from household to household.
Yeah. And homelessness is a issue that's spreading across the nation.
Yeah,
It's
it's
not
only getting
just a
bigger.
California
Mhm.
issue, you know. And I'm sure
Right.
that we probably have it in a higher percentage than some other places because
Hmm.
it really is out of control down here in LA, in the Bay Area, San Francisco, Oakland, um,
Sacramento.
Sacramento for sure. That everybody has their spots. It's happening, but it's also starting to extend into other states. So we got to be conscious of that. There has to be a reason for this. Everybody can't just be lazy, not trying to work. Which is like such an easy excuse that people like to throw for why there's homelessness. Like people just don't want to work, and it's not always that as
Not
the
always.
reason. There's many reasons why people are homeless. Some things have to do with the way that the system is ran and how bills are passed and how lines get drawn, which change value in value. So it's important that, we just keep our mind open to these bills and just, again, educating ourselves. We got to be able to want to know, what does this mean for my life, so
Right.
that we could start to move in that direction, and then we could help each other understand what's really going on out here. Because the system really doesn't change until the people within it decide to dismantle it.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right. Right.
So
Right.
we got to
Just let
play the game, even if we hate the game. We got to understand how the game works well enough that we make it benefit for us so that we don't need it at all. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Create our own system. But just being mad at the system changing over time, it doesn't help us as much as it hurts us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And that's what the founding fathers, the forefathers, were all about when this country was created. That Boston Tea Revolution, or was it the Boston Tea Party? The
Boston
Boston
Tea
Tea
Party, yeah,
Party
they taught us that shit.
was all about, like, hey, we don't like this taxation without representation, so we gonna cause some problems
Hmm.
until it changes.
Yeah.
And I don't see a problem with that. And that's a huge, you know, that's a huge disagreement that I've had with my co-host on the Bronze Room in the past. Was like, if you want change, sometimes you do have to cause a ruckus, and that's not coming from me. That's coming from the forefathers that we hold on a pedestal in this country. They tore shit up to get change. So
Yeah, you got to torch it up. You got to stone it up. You got
I'm
to.
only I'm only going according to the precedents that were set by the forefathers. So I'm just super patriotic.
Sorry, y'all. Sorry about my technical difficulties. Do I sound good?
Yeah, no, you're fine. You sound a little
Okay.
loud, but
I
I think,
sound loud?
yeah, your volume is
Oh,
up.
I turned it down too. Okay, let me turn it down a little bit more. How that sound?
Sounds better.
I got y'all like on 10.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe it's just my ears, but it sounds a little
I
loud too.
mean,
But
because I can't hear y'all. Let me see if there's a way I could turn this down. And now I
um,
can't hear LJ.
Oh, I said it sounds better now. At first, it was a lot more feedback, but we smooth now.
Oh,
yeah,
okay, cool.
yeah.
Okay.
Um,
So
but
you was talking about that Boston Tea Party though and making reformation in different ways, right?
yeah, so this tax bill
Yeah.
is making a reformation, or it's proposing to make a reformation in our tax codes and everything. Same tax codes that have so many people in debt, have so many people impoverished right now.
Yeah.
Another thing that I didn't touch on before was like, um, it, most problems that exist in the nation, in different locations, in different communities, are cultural. Most issues are cultural issues, and in terms of this, our financial issues in the country, It is very cultural. We live in a very consumer-based culture, so which goes along with westernization. You it's first time that you get your check, or on the first and the 15th of the month, you headed to, the club or to the store or to Gucci, to Louis and all that. We live in a consumer based country, which is fine. It's not tricking if you got it, but a lot of us don't got it, and we're still spending as if we do, which sends us deeper into debt. That's a cultural thing. You know what I mean? That's an American thing. Most of us most of us take credit out to buy these things. It's not cash purchases. You know what I mean? So we have a culture in this country of going into debt for the temporary, for the things that we want in the here and now, and we don't have much forethought or mind towards the future. We just care about right here and right now. And so with this tax bill, it will incentivize people to get out of that, because what they're proposing is trading in the income tax for a consumption tax. You get taxed on how much you spend versus how much you make. So, if anything, that I think this bill will help to reverse that spending consumerist culture,
Will
and
it?
I think so. It will at least incentivize
Or will
a
it will
reversal.
it will it give them more, will they get more money from the Black community?
Well, hey, that
Because we are
it
the
will give
top
us.
spenders.
You're right. You're right,
I
and
mean, I would think that too, that it would incentivize. I'm
it
agreeing with
will.
you, because it would definitely incentivize
It
me.
will.
Um, I just think, here's my question: who have you guys spoken with in a regular community, just even in Black, white, whatever, who pays taxes? Where did you get this reformation from? And how about why can't we just get rid of taxes altogether? Why is that not something that's
That's
in
not gonna happen.
question?
That's not.
I'm
That's
just saying, like,
Yeah.
why is that not something that
Well,
could
it's,
be
it's not
proposed?
in question because the government needs to make money, and the only way that they can make money is through taxes, or uh, like
To buy
selling,
gas bills,
like
right?
like selling goods and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it's not going to happen. Although that would be great, but
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that's
I mean, I guess I'm open to it. We've already been punished with these regular taxes that we pay, that just, it still doesn't add up to me when
Exactly.
you go exempt for like 3 days, and then you owe 1 million, but then they taking all these taxes out a year. It's just, we get so much taken out, especially in the state of California. Let's talk about the places that really tax the fuck out of people. People have moved out of California because of taxes.
Yep.
I know so many people that moved to Texas and to Vegas. They like the taxes.
and they getting taxed too in Texas because of property tax. I mean, unless you don't own, which I guess is a good thing if you don't own, because it's 40% in Texas. You own anything. If you own a house, 40% is coming out every year.
That's crazy.
Ooh.
That just should not be the case.
Yeah, which
But
is
the
it.
price of a house is probably cheaper than the price of a house
It
in
is
California.
cheaper,
It
but yeah, but
is.
there's
So
cons
that's
and
what my
pros.
thing is y'all getting y'all money on the back end now by doing this. I'm wondering how this comes into play. I think this will make more sense if we could see an example of how this would affect real, like, life, like a forecast, you
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
for expenses. But yeah, encourage me not to spend. Y'all don't need my money anyway.
Yeah, and I think if people are going to find better ways to hide their money, if you just telling me, oh, what I spent this year, oh, okay, well, $12. You know what I mean? But ultimately, if we able to understand what's up with it, I think it benefits us, because then we could manipulate it in our favor
Especially if
legally.
you're a business. I was just thinking that, like, oh, we
Yeah.
spent this on this for this, and this.
Hey, if
Yeah.
that's how the tax codes work, you know what I mean? So yeah,
Yeah, that's how it goes.
you want
Yeah.
to do the vibe of the week?
Bye, bye, baby.
Yeah, let's get into vibe of the week.
All right. Yeah. You got your vibe of the week, Chris?
Hey, like I told y'all last week, I love leftovers. Nah, but No, it's on the same vibe as last week. It's just an extension of it. Vibe of the week last week for me was growth, um, which entails a lot of pain, a lot of discomfort, etc. But my vibe of the week specifically for this week, January 23rd, 2023, is stand the course. Um, you know, through growth, it's going to be a journey. You're going to be walking down a path. And it's going to be a lot of different distractions on that path. There's going to be a lot of internal distractions. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Y'all know me. You know, I I base a lot of my faith in the Bible. And Jesus went to the desert for 40 days and 40
mm,
nights without food, without water. And so a lot of times in growth, you're going to have distractions around you to get you off the path, but you're also going to have internal distractions within you that are going to be talking to you in your ear, like the devil.
mm-hmm.
Hey, dog, why don't we just go this way? You know what I mean? This is too hard. We can go this way. We can take a little shortcut. It's nothing. Hey, dog, come on, man. You can turn this rock into food. We can eat. Let's eat. You know what I mean? That's an internal distraction. But if you know your destination, you don't get off the path. You know that a shortcut is only um, it's a trick. The shortcut is the trick. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So through this growing period, I'm staying the course. I'm sticking to it, and I'm going by faith. You know what I mean? I know that the destination is going to be reached. It might not be tomorrow, might not be next week, but the destination is going to be reached. And when I reach it, I'm going to be happy that I stayed on the path, because along that path, there's so many lessons to be learned and so much growth to be taking place. And I'm not going to short myself.
Yeah.
You're only cheating yourself when you cheat. So uh, my vibe of the week is stay in the course, keep strong, keep the faith, keep growing, y'all.
Love it. Love it. That's very true, everything you said. And with that, mine is self-empowerment. And I guess you compare that with growth. During those growing pains of learning things, dealing with those internal distractions, you can find that self-empowerment when you choose to overcome those. Those are the things that make your faith stronger. Those are the things that help you to hold steadfast. Just y'all know the things that I've told you about this week, and just tapping into that self empowerment helped me realize, okay, there's going to be so many things that come along my journey. This doesn't mean that it stops. This just means that I find a workaround. I find a way to push myself forward. And in that, that's when you find that empowerment. Um, for any of my blacksmiths, if you feel like you're in a situation where you're feeling a little bit less confident, or you're having that self-doubt, just remember that that uncomfortable decision that you need to make, just go on ahead and make it.
Yeah.
Just go on ahead and make it, because that's the decision that's going to actually empower you and propel you forward, even though it feels uncomfortable right now. Growth, that's one thing about it. It's not comfortable. It's just like when you growing out of your clothes and they start not to fit right, and this shirt might be a little bit tighter. These shorts might be a little bit shorter, might not be to the length that you want. It's because you're growing, and now you need to be in an environment and a place that's more suitable. But in order to
Mhm.
be like that, you have to empower yourself to that. And that goes along with taking those growing pains and striding. So, yeah, that's my vibe of the week, self empowerment.
Yeah, Miss Joy walking in power. I like that. That's what's up. I really love that, because we all are, you in particular, but all of us are powerful beings. But just because you're a powerful
Yeah.
being doesn't mean that you are empowered. You know,
Yeah.
like you have to tap into that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
um, Miss Joy is making the right decisions and tapping
Thank you,
into her
Chris.
full power. That full strength. Yeah, that's what's up. I like that. Love that. So
Thank
that's the vibe
you.
of the week, y'all. Thank you guys for joining us again for another episode of The Bronze Room.